Hello students, in this lecture we'll study microwave components. In our earlier lecture we studied some microwave components, scattering matrix, its analysis, how we can determine the characteristics of microwave using the scattering matrix, and we saw electric field plane T, H plane T, and the hybrid T. In this lecture we are going to discuss some other microwave components which you might have seen in your laboratories. So now let's start. The first one is hybrid ring or rat race T. It is also called a rat race coupler, and it is similar to the hybrid T that we saw earlier in the previous lecture. It is an annular ring having specific uh, wavelength between each of the port. So there are 4 ports, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and each port has a specific length between them. Okay, between port 1 and 4 the length is 3 lambda g by 4. Port 1 and port 2, port 2 and port 3, port 3 and port 4 are having the same length, which is equal to lambda g by 4. Lambda g is the guide wavelength. And the characteristic of this hybrid ring is similar to hybrid T. So what is happening here, if you send a wave at port 1, it will appear from port 2 and port 4, and but you will not receive any signal from port 3. Similarly, if you send a signal to port 2, it will appear from port 3 and port 1, and you will not get any signal from port 4. Why? Because the signal traveling in clockwise and the anti-clockwise direction, this is clockwise direction and the anti-clockwise direction, two waves will be generated. Suppose you are sending a signal from port 1. So what will happen? One wave will move in this direction and another wave will move in this direction. So what will happen at port 3? The summation of waves traveling in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction, they produce a phase difference of pi. So they'll cancelled out at this particular port. That's why we are not getting any signal from port 3. However, this won't happen at port 2 and port 4, so we'll get the signal from here. So let's see it mathematically, what is happening here. Suppose we are sending a signal at port 1. Okay, so what will happen at port 2? The phase difference of signal, phase difference is equal to 2 pi by lambda g into path difference. Path difference for what? Path difference for clockwise wave and anti-clockwise wave. Okay, so what will be the path difference? 2 pi by lambda g. Path difference in this clockwise direction, port 2, it is lambda g by 4. And what will be the path traveling by the wave in anti-clockwise direction? This is the clockwise direction. If from port 1 to 2, it is traveling a distance of lambda g by 4. And anti-clockwise, what will happen? It will move from here to here to here. So how much length it has traveled? 3 lambda g by 4 plus lambda g by 4 plus lambda g by 4. 5 lambda g by 4. So this will be equal to 2 pi by lambda g minus 4 lambda g by 4 minus 2 pi. Okay, what is happening at port 4? Port 4, now let's see in the next slide. At port 4, what will happen? This was the signal 1, 2, 3, 4. So from port 1 to port 4, what will happen? total length travel in clockwise direction is 3 lambda g by 4. This was lambda g by 4, this was lambda g by 4, this was lambda g by 4, and this was 3 lambda g by 4. So phase difference of wave traveling in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction will be 2 pi by lambda g, 3 lambda g by 4 minus 3 lambda g by 4, 0. So 2 pi phase difference was happening at port 2 and 0 phase difference is occurring at port 4. So we'll get the signal from port 2 and port 4. Now let's see what is happening at port 3. At port 3, the phase difference delta phi is equal to 2 pi by lambda g. So what length it is traveling at port 3? Let's do it in different color. So from 1 to 3, this is 2 lambda g by 4, 2 lambda g by 4 minus 4 lambda g by 4. Okay, this length 4 lambda g by 4. So this is equal to 2 pi by lambda g, and it is equal to minus lambda g by 2. This cancelled out, this cancelled out, and minus pi. So the phase difference for the wave traveling in clockwise and anti-clockwise at port 3 is pi. So these wave will cancel out each other. So if you send the signal from port 1, it will appear at port 2 and 4 but not at 3. So what is the scattering parameter here? You are sending a signal from 1 to 2, S21 will exist here, S41 will exist here, and both the waves will be equal because the wave will be divided equally. If all the ports are matched here, the wave will be divided equally between port 2 and port 4. Until unless you have created certain conditions here, both waves will be divided equally. So we'll say S21 is equal to S24 while S31 is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the condition we have obtained here. Similarly, if you send the signal from port 2, it will appear from port 3 and port 1. It will not appear from port 4. If you send the signal from port 3, it will appear at port 4 and port 1. It will not appear from port 2. Okay, so let's derive the scattering matrix here. So what will be the scattering matrix here? Earlier we have seen if it is a 3-port network, it cannot be matched at all 3 ports, if you remember. But here in 4-port device, it can be matched at all 4 ports at the same time. So if they are matched, S11 is equal to S22 is equal to S33 is equal to S44 is equal to 0. Matching means there is no reflection from these particular ports. These are reflection coefficients. Okay, so they will be 0, S11, S22, S33, S44, 0. Now if you send the signal from 1, it will appear from port 2, S12. Both are reciprocal, S12 will exist, S13 no, it will be 0, so S31 will also be 0, S14 yes, we'll get the signal, S41 we can write S14 because everything is reciprocal, all devices are reciprocal, and 2, 3 yes, we'll get the signal. S24 will not get the signal, it will be 0. Now move on to 3. If you send the signal to 3, it will appear from port 4 and port 2. So S23 and S24, it will not appear from port 1. If you send the signal from port 4, it will appear from 1 and 3. From 2. Okay, you send the signal S2 to 4. You will S2 no 2 4 will be 0. Okay, so This will be S34. I have written wrong here. This will be S34. If you send the signal from port 4, it will appear from this port and this port, not at this port. So S14 will get S34. S34 will get, this will be 0. Okay, so this is the scattering matrix that you will get for hybrid ring. Understood? So if you are sending the signal from one of the port, it will appear from two ports, while one of the port will not get any signal. The same was happening in hybrid T. If you remember this thing, this is E port and this is H port. If you send the signal to E port, it was appearing from this port and this port, and we were not getting from H port. If we were sending from signal from H port, we were getting from port 1 and port 2, and we were not getting from E arm. If you are sending the signal from one of the collinear arm, it will appear from this port and this port, and we were not getting signal from another collinear arm. The same is happening over here. This was the very first hybrid device that was made. So now let's see another devices. Waveguide, corners, bends and twists. They are used to change the direction of propagation, or to change the plane of polarization of electromagnetic wave. So now let's see the waveguide corners. It is E plane corner, in which the corner is made at along E plane along electric field, and this is H plane corner, and the corner is made along the direction of magnetic field. This length L is chosen such that its length is odd multiple of lambda by 4, which is quarter wavelength. Why we are doing this? It will minimize the reflections from the discontinuity, and the wave traveling in both the direction will have the path length lambda by 2. So they will cancel out each other if we make this length equal to lambda g by odd multiple of lambda g by 4. This will avoid the reflection, because the wave traveling in this direction and this direction, this path difference will be lambda g by 2. So the phase difference will be 2 pi by lambda g will be pi. So both the waves traveling in forward and reverse direction, they will cancel out each other. So there will not be any reflection from these particular corners. Okay, so and they will change the direction of electric field. Now let's see bends. Bends are of again two types, E plane bend and H plane bend. E plane bend, why it is called E plane bend? Because the direction of electric field changes if you make a bend along the broader wall of this waveguide. You see, this is E plane bend. If TE10 mode is propagating here, the direction of electric field is changing. It is in upward direction, and this is in this direction, in different direction, if TE10 is the mode of propagation. And here the direction of orientation of magnetic field is changing from this to this direction. The orientation of magnetic field is changing. This is H plane bend. Again, for avoiding the reflection, the larger the curvature of this bend, the minimum will be the reflections. So in order to keep reflections optimum and minimum, the radius of curvature is taken as 1.5 b for E plane bend and 1.5 a for H plane bend. This is R. Radius of curvature R is 1.5 b. B is the dimension of narrower wall and A is the dimension of broader wall. So E plane bend is the bend which changes the direction of electric field, while the H plane bend is the bend which changes the direction of magnetic field. Next is twist. This is twist. Twists are used to change the plane of polarization. You see, this is twist. It is changing from horizontal to vertical. Okay, this is 90-degree change in plane of polarization. First it is horizontal at this particular point. This is horizontal, and here it becomes vertical. Okay, so twists are used to change the plane of polarization. You will see in a laboratory that there are various bends, twists there for and we use it for different applications. If you want to change the plane of polarization, then you use twists, bends, etc. Also, this mean length L between these plane of polarizations is taken as lambda g by 4 to avoid any reflections. So next comes is directional coupler. It is very popular device used in microwave engineering, and it is a 4-port network in which we use two waveguides. First is primary waveguide and this is secondary waveguide. And what is happening, the wave is traveling in forward and reverse direction, and some power from primary waveguide is coupled into the secondary waveguide. That's why it is called a directional coupler. If you send a signal from this direction, it will move into this particular port, but some power will also be coupled into the secondary waveguide. So now let's see its operation. There are two ways, there are two conventions by which we can represent a directional coupler. This is the first way that shows the direction of propagation, and this is also another way of representing a directional. These are the two ways which shows directional coupler. Now let's see what happens here in directional coupler. If you give an input at port 1, this is port 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if you send a signal from port 1 to port 2, some power will also be coupled into port 3. However, there will not be any power which will couple to port 4. Port 4 is called isolated port. You are sending a signal from port 1, that's why it is called the input port. Port 2 is the through port, while the port 3 is the coupled port, because the power from the primary waveguide is coupled from primary to secondary waveguide. It is the coupled port. Similarly, if you send the signal from here, what will happen? From here to here, from port 2 to port 1, if you are sending a signal from port 2 to port 1, it will be coupled to port 4, while there will not be any power coupled into port 3. So what does it mean? It means that this port and this port are decoupled, this port and this port are decoupled. Means if you send the signal from port 1, it will not be coupled into port 4. If you send a signal from port 2, it will not be coupled into port 3. So 2, 1 and 4, 2 and 3 are decoupled. Now let's see the scattering matrix analysis of this directional coupler. So the scattering matrix for this directional coupler will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. This was 4. Okay, so let's suppose that all the ports are perfectly matched, means S11 is equal to S22 is equal to S33 is equal to S44 are 0, and we are sending the signal from 1, it is appearing from 2 and 3. However, there is no communication between 1 and 4. So S14 is equal to S23 is equal to 0. And if it is reciprocal, what does it mean? S12 is equal to S21, S13 is equal to S31 and so on. So let's design its characteristic scattering matrix. So S11 is 0, S12, yes, it will occur, S12, S13, yes, it will occur, S14 is 0, S21 will be equal to S12 by reciprocity condition. S22 is 0 because it is matched at this particular port. If no matching is given to you, you need to put the value. But let's suppose all the port are matched. It can happen in 4-port device, but it cannot happen in 3-port device. All the ports cannot be matched at the same time. So where were we? S13, S2, S21, S23. S23, no, there is no communication between them. If you send the signal from 2, it will appear from 1 and 4, and no at 3. S24, yes, it will occur S24. So move on to third one, S31. S31 is equal to S13. S23, no, it is 0. S33 is 0. S34, yes, it will occur S34. Now fourth one, S14, 0. S42, S24. S43 is equal to S34. S44 is 0 because it is smash. So this is the scattering matrix that you have obtained for directional coupler. So I haven't shown it for every other thing, but it's given in your book. So let's see how to determine the actual scattering values. What are the values of S12, S13, because it is very popular device. Let's see what will be the actual value of each component. So how do we start? I have shown you that reciprocity condition we have already applied. Another property of scattering matrix was its unitary property. So first we'll apply the unitary property here. So what unitary property says? That mod S12 square plus mod S13 square is equal to 1. On each column we have to apply it, this property, mod S12 square second column plus mod S24 square is equal to 1, mod S13 square plus mod S34 square is equal to 1, mod S24 square plus mod S34 square is equal to 1, and 0 property. This is unit property. And 0 property, what does it says? It says if you multiply one component with the conjugate of other component in second column and take the sum of all these products, it will give you 0. So S12 S13 conjugate is equal plus S24 S34 conjugate is equal to 0, because if you multiply these two columns, everything will be 0. So we have multiplied second and third, and first and fourth will give you 0 property. S first and fourth, S12 S24 conjugate plus S13 S34 conjugate is equal to 0. So we have obtained these values. So now let's move on to next slide. I have to copy these things. So see from these equations what you can infer. Let's take these equations. How can we write this equation? S12 S13 conjugate plus S24 S34 conjugate is equal to 0, or we could write S12 S13 conjugate is equal to minus S24 S34 conjugate, or we may write it as mod S12 mod S13 is equal to mod S24 mod S34, right? And similarly we could write this equation as mod S12 mod S24 is equal to mod S13 mod S34. This was S24 S34 S13 S34. Okay, so from these equations what you may infer, that S12 is equal to mod S34, You see, if you divide this equation, you'll this will be cancelled out. S34 will be cancelled out. S13 will be equal to S24. This you are getting mod S24, and second you are getting S12, mod S12 is equal to mod S34. These two conclusions that we have obtained from these equations. Now we have to suppose some values of S13, S12 here, and we have to derive further further values of S1, 4, S13, etc. So let's suppose that S13 is real. S13 because these are equal. Let's say we are considering this particular condition, mod S13 is equal to mod S24. Let's say it's a real value. Let's say it's a positive. So what we'll get from here, we'll use this equation by putting the value of S13, S24 equal to P. So we'll get S12, S13 conjugate, real conjugate is a real value. Let's take alpha and not P. It is equal to alpha. So mod S12 into this value S13 conjugate is alpha, plus S24 is also alpha. From this equation, S34 conjugate is equal to 0, means alpha S12 plus S34 conjugate is equal to 0. So when this particular value will be 0? When this particular value will be 0? When S12 is, let's say, J beta or minus J beta, anything could be possible. There are multiple solutions to this particular problem. Let's say S12 is J beta, so means S34 conjugate will be minus J beta. This will give you this particular equation is equal to 0. So you have got S12 is equal to S24 is equal to alpha, and S13 is equal to S24 is equal to alpha, and S12 is equal to S34 is equal to J beta. So now the equation will become, the scattering matrix value will become, we'll copy this equation and we'll put the value. So we got S12, this was 0, S12 was this we also have to copy. So this will be the value here. So we have S12 is equal to J beta, and S13 is equal to alpha, it is 0. S12 is again J beta, this is 0, 0. S24 is alpha, and S13 is equal to alpha, 0, 0. S34 is equal to J beta, and 0. S24 is alpha, S34 is equal to J beta, and 0. And what we are getting from here, alpha square plus beta square is equal to this square mod this square plus mod this square is equal to 1. Okay. This is the relationship we are getting. Any value of alpha could be chosen, so that alpha square plus beta square is equal to 1. So this was the one solution that we were getting. What is the another solution? that you could get from here. This value alpha we have chosen, S13 we have chosen as alpha, and this S12 could be chosen as minus j beta. That could also be possible. Another solution is you consider that S13 is j beta. Now let's take S13 is equal to j beta. What you will get if you consider S13 mod S13 is equal to j beta here, and you put the condition over here. You please check it by yourself. This is the homework. One condition we have seen. You will see multiples of solution here. If you consider S13 is equal to j beta, you will consider you will get different kind of solution. And second thing is you consider that S13 is equal to beta and S24 is equal to minus beta. So obtain the solution for this and this. You may see it by yourself because we have already seen this particular thing. You will be able to see the further solution. If you consider S13 is equal to j beta and S13 is equal to beta, S24 minus beta, you will get different kinds of solution. We'll see later in tutorial sessions. So now let's see the properties of this directional coupler. It is defined by various factors, various properties, which are coupling factor, directivity, isolation and insertion loss. So coupling is the fraction of power, that is fraction of power that is coupled to the output port. There were 4 ports, 1 2 3 3 and 4. How much power is coupled from input to the coupled port is determined by the coupling factor. So coupling factor is denoted by letter C. It is equal to 10 log of P1 by P3. If P1 is the input port, power into the input port, P3 is the power coupled into the coupling port. This is the coupled port, this is input port. So power, how do we measure power from scattering matrix? This scattering matrix that is given to you, it shows these values are actually voltage value, not the power value. If you need to consider the power, it will be equal to S12 square or S13 square. The power into port 3 will be S13 square. Okay, so this is the power into the second port, j beta square. Is S12 square is the power, while these values are actually the voltage values. So how do we measure power? From port 3 to port 1, it is equal to 10 log of 1 by mod S13 square or S31 square, because it is a reciprocal case. It is equal to minus 20 log of mod S13 or mod S31, anything. So coupling coefficient or coupling factor is the power that determines how much power is coupled into the secondary waveguide port or the coupled port. From primary to secondary, how much power is coupled, it is determined by the coupling factor. Next comes as the directivity. The directivity is the measure of coupling directional coupler to isolate the forward and reverse traveling wave. How well it is able to distinguish between the incident wave and the reflected wave, or the forward wave and the reflected wave, is the directivity. So directivity is denoted by D is equal to 10 log of P3 by P4. So if 1 is the input power, so every power has to be measured with respect to 1. So how do we measure with how do we measure these power P3 and P4 with respect to the input port? This will be equal to 10 log of mod S13 square or S31 square divided by mod S14 square is equal to 20 log mod S13 is equal to 20 log mod S13 divided by mod S14. This will obviously be in dB, this will be in dB. So next comes is isolation. So isolation is the power, it determines the directive property of coupler, and it measures the power delivered to uncoupled port. Means for ideal coupler, what should happen? If you are sending the signal from one, it should appear at through port and the coupled port, and it should not appear at port 4, which is the isolated port. If some power is coupling into the port 4, means it is not an ideal coupler, some power is leaking into port 4. So how do we determine isolation? Isolation is defined as 10 log of input power divided by the power in uncoupled port. So it is equal to 10 log of 1 by mod S14 or S41 square, since it is a power, minus 20 log of mod S14. So if you see all these definitions, this coupling, it is P1 by P3 and directivity is P4 by P3. If you add these two factors, C plus D, it will actually give you 10 log P1 by P4. P3 will be cancelled out, because in log they will be P1 P1 dB minus P3 dB plus P3 dB minus P4 dB. P3 dB and P3 dB will be cancelled out. It will give you P1 minus P4, which is actually 10 log of P1 by P4, which is the definition of isolation. So isolation is equal to coupling plus directivity. Factor plus directivity. So this is all for directional coupler, and there is another factor which is used to define the characteristic of directional coupler, and it is insertion loss. Yes, now what is happening over here? This was primary waveguide and this was secondary waveguide. You are sending the signal from port 1 and you want the signal to be sent to this second port through the primary waveguide, but because of this secondary waveguide, some power is being coupled into this particular port 3, and port 4 is the isolated bit. Because of these two ports, some power that should have been, all the power has to be reached to this port 2, but because they are existing over here, this power that should reach to port 2 is diminished by this factor, the power that is being coupled and that is sent to the uncoupled port. This is diminished by these two power. So the insertion loss is the loss which accounts for the power delivered to the through port, which is minimized because of the power being coupled into the secondary waveguide, into the coupled port and the isolated port. So the insertion loss is loss is equal to 10 log of P1 by P2. It is equal to 10 log of 1 by mod S12 square is equal to minus 20 log of mod S12 dB. So this is insertion loss. So what is required for ideal directional coupler? In the definition of this directivity, what you are seeing, you don't want P4 to occur. If it is the ideal directional coupler, the P4 should be 0, means there should not be any power come out from the isolated port. So the directivity of ideal directional coupler is infinite. However, this is not the case. You have 3 dB directional coupler, 10 dB directional coupler, 20 dB directional coupler, 30 dB directional coupler. What this shows, this 10 10 dB, 3 dB, 20 dB coupler shows the coupling coefficient, not the directivity. The directivity of ideal directional coupler is infinite. However, if 10 dB coupler is given to you, this 10 dB shows the coupling coefficient, not the directivity. This you should remember. Now next comes is your homework, which I have already told you, but I'll tell you again. Your homework: obtain the scattering matrix of directional coupler considering S13 is equal to J beta plus J beta is equal to S24. It was S24, yes, and this is first condition, and second is S13 is equal to beta, S24 is equal to minus beta. Okay, so obtain the scattering matrix and submit it by Friday. What is the date? On Friday it is, no, submitted by 13th. Okay, by 13th. So okay, thank you.